The trickster figure has existed for millennia, weaving its way through mythologies, religions, folk tales, and psychological frameworks. This shape-shifting entity is often known for its ability to defy convention, play with the boundaries of morality, and embody contradictions. It can be both hero and villain, deceiver and benefactor, outcast and beloved icon. In psychological terms, the trickster represents a key part of the human psyche, one that challenges societal norms, subverts authority, and forces people to confront the unpredictability of life. This complex archetype continues to fascinate us because it operates on multiple levels: personal, cultural, and existential. By exploring the trickster through the lenses of psychology and mythology, we can gain insight into the human condition and how we interact with the rules, expectations, and chaos of the world. The trickster figure isn't merely a mythological character that exists in stories like Loki from Norse mythology or the Native American figure of Coyote. It can also be found in literature, film, and even in modern-day politics and media personalities. The trickster is a reflection of something deep within the human experience: the need to question, disrupt, and sometimes overturn the status quo. In many ways, the trickster is the part of us that feels trapped by conformity, rules, and routine. It acts out, plays tricks, and challenges those in power not out of malice, but as a way to break free of limitations. From a psychological perspective, Carl Jung was one of the first to explore the trickster archetype in depth. According to Jung, archetypes are universal symbols or patterns that exist in the collective unconscious, a sort of shared reservoir of experiences and knowledge that all humans tap into. These archetypes, which include figures like the hero, the wise old man, and the trickster, represent fundamental aspects of the human experience. The trickster, for Jung, embodies the chaotic, irrational, and immoral aspects of life. This archetype is neither inherently good nor bad, but operates outside of the moral constructs that society holds dear. It can cause harm, but can also bring about necessary change. The trickster's role as a boundary breaker is crucial to understanding its psychology. Societies depend on order, structure, and rules to function. These rules provide stability, but can also become suffocating, especially when they go unquestioned or become too rigid. The trickster exists to shake things up, acting as a sort of evolutionary force that challenges established norms. The trickster's behavior might seem disruptive, but it's often through this disruption that new ideas, perspectives, and growth emerge. In Jungian terms, the trickster serves as a kind of shadow figure. It represents the repressed or denied aspects of ourselves, those parts of our psyche that don't fit neatly into socially acceptable categories. When these parts are ignored for too long, they manifest in unpredictable, sometimes destructive ways. Consider the example of Loki in Norse mythology. Loki is both a god and a troublemaker, often creating chaos for the other gods in Asgard. While his actions might seem purely mischievous or even malevolent, they often result in some form of renewal or change. For example, one of Loki's most famous tricks involves cutting off the golden hair of Sif, the wife of Thor. This act angers Thor and forces Loki to find a solution, which leads to the creation of new, magical hair for Sif, as well as several other gifts for the gods. In this sense, Loki's trickery serves a dual purpose. It creates chaos, but also brings about new and important outcomes. Autolycus, a figure from Greek mythology, perfectly embodies the trickster archetype. He is the son of Hermes, the god of thieves and tricksters, and is known for his remarkable skills in theft and deception. Autolycus had the supernatural ability to make stolen goods unrecognizable, enabling him to steal without detection. His reputation as the Prince of Thieves is well earned, but like many tricksters, his actions often blur the line between cleverness and dishonesty. Autolycus appears in works like Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale, where he plays the role of a roguish peddler and pickpocket. Much like other trickster figures, Autolycus uses wit and charm to manipulate those around him, finding opportunities in chaos and uncertainty. His character represents the dual nature of the trickster, both a playful, entertaining figure and a morally ambiguous one. Autolycus's clever deceptions remind us of the fine line between cunning and treachery, showcasing how tricksters challenge the ethical boundaries of society, while also serving as agents of change and chaos. The trickster's ability to embody opposites, both creator and destroyer, hero and villain, mirrors the complexity of human nature. We too have aspects of ourselves that are contradictory. We can be both selfish and selfless, kind and cruel, rational and irrational. The trickster archetype taps into this duality, reminding us that life is not a simple matter of good versus evil or right versus wrong. It's a messy, often contradictory experience, and the trickster forces us to confront that reality. In literature, the trickster often appears as a character who uses wit and cunning to outsmart those in power. These characters may not possess physical strength or wealth, but they rely on their intelligence and humor to achieve their goals. One of the most famous examples of this is Odysseus from Homer's The Odyssey. Odysseus, although a celebrated hero, often resorts to trickery to overcome the challenges he faces. His cunning, rather than brute strength, allows him to devise ingenious solutions, such as the famous Trojan horse, a ruse that led to the fall of Troy. Throughout the Odyssey, Odysseus consistently uses his wit to navigate treacherous situations. Whether tricking the Cyclops Polyphemus by calling himself nobody, or devising a clever plan to reclaim his throne from the suitors, Odysseus showcases the quintessential traits of the trickster. His character embodies the idea that intelligence and strategic thinking can be just as powerful, if not more so, than traditional forms of power like physical strength or wealth. Odysseus's journey highlights the duality of the trickster archetype. While he can be seen as a hero, his methods often involve bending the rules or deceiving others. This complexity in his character deepens our understanding of the trickster as not merely a rogue, but also someone who challenges the status quo, often leading to transformative outcomes through unconventional means. Another iconic trickster figure in literature is B.R.R. Rabbit, a character from African American folklore, famously popularized in the Uncle Remus stories by Joel Chandler Harris. B.R.R. Rabbit, much like Odysseus, uses his intelligence and cunning to outwit his enemies, often larger and more powerful creatures such as B.R.R. Fox and B.R.R. Bear. Despite his small size and apparent vulnerability, B.R.R. Rabbit consistently turns the tables on his adversaries, relying on his quick thinking and clever tricks to survive and thrive. One of B.R.R. Rabbit's most well-known exploits is the story of the tar baby, where B.R.R. Fox creates a figure out of tar to trap B.R.R. Rabbit. Instead of succumbing to the trap, B.R.R. Rabbit uses reverse psychology, pleading with B.R.R. Fox to do anything but throw him into the briar patch. Of course, once thrown into the briar patch, B.R.R. Rabbit escapes unscathed, as it was exactly where he wanted to be all along. This clever manipulation of his enemy through psychological tricks is a hallmark of the trickster archetype, highlighting the power of wit over brute force. B.R.R. Rabbit represents a deeper cultural significance as well, particularly in the context of African American folklore, where the trickster figure often symbolizes resilience and resistance. For enslaved people, B.R.R. Rabbit's ability to outsmart more powerful adversaries became a metaphor for survival and subversion in the face of oppression. Through humor, cunning, and an ability to navigate complex social situations, B.R.R. Rabbit embodies the trickster's role as both survivor and rebel, showing how intelligence can become a tool for empowerment against overwhelming odds. In Japanese folklore, kitsune, or the fox spirit, is one of the most fascinating and complex trickster figures. Known for its intelligence and shape-shifting abilities, kitsune can assume human forms, often that of a beautiful woman, to deceive or interact with humans. The stories of kitsune are deeply rooted in Shinto beliefs, where foxes are seen as messengers of the rice god, Inari. These spirits can be either benevolent or mischievous, and their dual nature adds to their intrigue. One of the most famous aspects of kitsune lore is their ability to transform into humans. In many tales, a kitsune takes on the appearance of a woman and marries a human man, living with him for many years until her true nature is revealed. In some versions, the man finds out by accident, often discovering the kitsune's tail or catching her in her fox form when she thinks no one is watching. Despite the deception, these stories are not always tragic. In several variations, the husband remains loyal, and the kitsune, though forced to return to the spirit world, continues to protect her human family from afar. This element of loyalty and protection shows the benevolent side of kitsune, suggesting that, although tricksters, they are also capable of love and kindness. On the darker side, kitsune can also be mischievous, using their shape-shifting abilities to cause chaos. In some tales, they transform into humans to play pranks on people, tricking them into embarrassing or dangerous situations. These tricks are often harmless, but can also become more sinister. For example, a kitsune might deceive a man into believing she is his wife, only to lead him into trouble. The kitsune's ability to blur the line between illusion and reality makes them a potent symbol of the unpredictability of life and the dangers of trusting appearances. One popular story that exemplifies the kitsune's trickster nature is the tale of Tamamo no Mi, a famous fox spirit who transformed into a beautiful and intelligent woman, becoming the consort of Emperor Kano. Her beauty and wisdom captured the court, but her true nature was revealed when the emperor fell mysteriously ill. After consulting a diviner, it was discovered that Tamamo no Mi was actually a kitsune, and she had been draining the emperor's life force. When pursued, she transformed back into her fox form and fled, but she was eventually hunted down and killed. Despite her malevolent intentions, Tamamo no Mi's story illustrates the kitsune's mastery of deception and the powerful allure of their trickster persona. Kitsune tales often highlight themes of transformation, illusion, and the thin boundary between reality and fantasy. These stories reflect the cultural reverence for foxes in Japan, seeing them as both protectors and potential threats. Kitsune's trickster nature reminds us of the impermanence of life and the dangers of taking things at face value, illustrating how deception can lead to both chaos and, sometimes, unexpected gifts. Whether acting as guardians or tricksters, kitsune remains one of the most enduring and enigmatic figures in Japanese folklore. From a psychological perspective, the trickster can also represent the part of us that seeks to rebel against authority. In many ways, the trickster is the ultimate outsider, someone who exists on the margins of society and refuses to conform. This rebellion can be seen in figures like Robin Hood, who steals from the rich to give to the poor. Robin Hood is a classic trickster figure because he operates outside of the law, but his actions are ultimately for the benefit of others. He challenges the corrupt authority of the Sheriff of Nottingham, and, by doing so, exposes the flaws in the system. In more contemporary terms, the trickster can be found in characters like the Joker from Batman. The Joker is an extreme example of the trickster archetype, embodying chaos, unpredictability, and immorality. Unlike Robin Hood, the Joker doesn't operate with a sense of justice or fairness. Instead, he embraces chaos for its own sake, using tricks and deception to create anarchy. In this sense, the Joker represents the darker side of the trickster archetype, the side that can lead to destruction without any positive outcome. Yet, even in his destructiveness, the Joker forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about society, power, and human nature. His actions reveal the fragility of social order and the thin veneer of civility that often masks deeper, more chaotic forces. The trickster's appeal lies in its ability to subvert authority and question norms. We live in a world governed by rules, some of which are necessary, but others can be arbitrary or oppressive. The trickster gives us a way to challenge those rules, to poke holes in the structures that we often take for granted. In many ways, the trickster is a symbol of freedom, the freedom to question, to rebel, and to imagine new possibilities. However, the trickster's rebellion is not without consequences. In many stories, the trickster's actions lead to chaos, confusion, and even destruction. This is the double-edged sword of the trickster's nature. While it can break down barriers and create new opportunities, it can also bring about unintended consequences. The trickster is a reminder that change, while necessary, is often disruptive and difficult. It forces us to confront the fact that growth and progress are not always neat, linear processes, but rather messy, chaotic experiences. One of the most interesting aspects of the trickster is its connection to humor. Tricksters often use humor as a tool for subversion, employing jokes, pranks, and satire to challenge authority and question societal norms. In many ways, humor is the trickster's greatest weapon because it disarms people, allowing them to see the absurdity in situations they might otherwise take seriously. This use of humor can be seen in figures like Bugs Bunny, who constantly outwits his adversaries with clever tricks and jokes. Bugs Bunny is a modern trickster, using humor and wit to navigate a world full of dangers and challenges. His ability to outsmart his opponents without resorting to violence makes him a beloved character, and a perfect example of the trickster's use of humor as a tool for survival and rebellion. Humor also plays a role in the trickster's ability to reveal uncomfortable truths. Jokes often have a way of exposing hypocrisy, injustice, or absurdity in ways that more serious forms of communication cannot. By laughing at the trickster's antics, we are forced to acknowledge the contradictions and flaws in the systems that govern our lives. This is one of the reasons why satire is such a powerful tool for social critique. Satirical trickster figures like Jonathan Swift's Gulliver from Gulliver's Travels, or the characters in George Orwell's Animal Farm use humor to reveal the darker aspects of human nature and society. The trickster's connection to humor also highlights its role as a transformer. In many myths and stories, the trickster is not just a character who causes chaos, but also one who brings about transformation. The trickster's tricks often lead to a shift in perspective, forcing characters, and, by extension, the audience to see the world in a new way. This transformative power is perhaps the trickster's greatest gift. By breaking down established norms and questioning authority, the trickster opens up the possibility for change, growth, and renewal. In many indigenous cultures, the trickster is not seen as a purely negative figure, but as a necessary part of the natural order. For example, in Native American mythology, the trickster coyote is often depicted as both a creator and a destroyer. Coyotes' actions may cause disruption, but they also lead to the creation of new things. In this way, the trickster is a symbol of the cyclical nature of life. Death and destruction are necessary for rebirth and creation. The trickster reminds us that life is not static, but constantly changing, and that chaos and order are two sides of the same coin. In psychological terms, this transformative power of the trickster can be seen in the process of individuation, which Jung described as the process of becoming one's true self. The trickster, by challenging the ego and societal norms, forces individuals to confront the parts of themselves that they have repressed or denied. This confrontation can be painful and disorienting, but it is also a necessary step in the process of personal growth. By embracing the trickster's chaos, individuals can break free from the constraints of their ego and become more authentic, whole versions of themselves. The trickster also plays a role in what psychologist James Hillman described as the acorn theory, the idea that each person has a unique, innate potential represented by the acorn that must be realized over the course of their life. The trickster, by disrupting the status quo and challenging conventional expectations, helps to free individuals from the limitations that prevent them from realizing their full potential. In this sense, the trickster is not just a disruptor, but also a guide, a figure who helps individuals navigate the complexities of life and discover their true selves. However, it's important to note that the trickster's path is not an easy one. The trickster's journey is often fraught with danger, confusion, and uncertainty. By defying convention and breaking the rules, the trickster risks alienation and even destruction. In many myths, the trickster meets a tragic end as a result of their own actions. For example, in some versions of the Norse myth, Loki is eventually punished for his trickery and deceit, bound in chains and tormented for eternity. This tragic aspect of the trickster's story serves as a reminder that the path of rebellion and transformation is not without its risks. Despite these risks, the trickster remains a vital and necessary part of the human experience. It embodies the tension between order and chaos, stability and change, conformity and rebellion. By embracing the trickster, we can learn to navigate these tensions more effectively, finding a balance between the need for structure and the desire for freedom. The trickster teaches us that life is not about rigidly adhering to rules, but about adapting to change, questioning authority, and embracing the unexpected. The Psychology of the Trickster is a fascinating exploration of the human psyche's ability to question, disrupt, and transform. The trickster archetype challenges us to confront the contradictions and complexities of life, forcing us to rethink our assumptions and embrace new possibilities. Whether through humor, rebellion, or chaos, the trickster serves as a catalyst for growth and change, reminding us that life is not a simple, orderly process, but a dynamic, unpredictable journey. By understanding the trickster's role in our lives, we can learn to navigate the challenges of life with more flexibility, creativity, and courage.